Hello and welcome to Real Actors, Real Answers, the video podcast where you are the star. Interviews with actors, actresses, scriptwriters, directors, and more. Today we have Sandra Williams. She has a long list of credits and a very interesting lady. I'd like to introduce you to Sandra. Hello, Sandra.
Hello, David, and hello, everyone.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing quite well. Things are busy, and I'm very active. There's a lot of juggling involved. Last night, I finished a 9-page, 4-scene audition, which isn't normal, but maybe the new normal. But did that, and of course, there's wellness and going to the gym and doing all the things that you've got to, keep every aspect of your day going.
That's true. Being a human being, let alone an actor, actress, is a full-time business,
Yeah.
Tell me something. I have never met anyone that was born in the islands. How was that?
Oh,
You're born in Honolulu?
yeah, I was. My dad was in the Army, and I lived there for the first 2 years of my life. So I even have my little sandals and bikini I wore as a toddler still kept that for me. But I returned there one time as an adult, but that was it. We moved to South Carolina after that period.
Now I was looking over your IMDb, and it's pretty impressive. It really is. It's exciting. One of the movies that I saw right away, and I grew up with the Dukes of Hazzard with John Schneider, Season for Miracles.
Yes, yes. Filmed in Tennessee, and I didn't have any scenes, but he was the lead in the film and was an inspiration to a young youth baseball team, and I was the mother of the lead young adult. So that's fun. I do that a lot. I think that's one of my favorite roles is to be because I enjoy that person, 3 sons. So mom is my favorite.
So how was it working with John Schneider?
Well, the project that I worked on, I did not have scenes with him. Were present on set at the same time. He was very lovely. He headed up the film and was an inspiration to the young kids that he, oversaw. And this was probably their very first film experience. So it's always nice to see someone that has a big career to come in and see how they operate on one because it becomes so personal, especially when you're working with young children or newcomers. So it was nice.
Right. Like I said, I grew up with him watching the Dukes of
Yeah.
Hazzard, like most people did our age. Was this the Season for Miracles? Was this a Hallmark movie?
I don't know what platform it ended up on because it was over 10 years ago.
Okay.
I'm not sure. It probably ended up like the inspirational or something like that.
And I saw also, I was looking once again on your IMDb, I saw the movie The Shunning. I do remember seeing that, but I didn't know who you were until now.
That one is really special to me for a lot of reasons. My mother is German, so native German, and I had never tried to speak like her. Come across my path where that lilt was necessary. So that was a secondary thing to be able to just step right into the accent and feel confident about it. But it's also an homage to my mother, the protective, because my father was killed we were in Hawaii. He didn't come back after the war. So my mother raised me in South Carolina with my 2 older brothers. So just you said you saw the movie, just the defensiveness and protectiveness. I emulated what I knew myself and just kind of did a role reversal. I was in the experience that I had as a child, and I became friends with the author of the trilogy, Beverly Lewis. She writes a lot of books about the Amish community. And so that was a nice part of it. The whole project was absolutely beautiful. Working with Michael as the director and Bird, who has Wind Call now. He was an executive producer on it. So wonderful group.
Wonderful. Yeah, there was other movies. What I could go over a list. There was so many that I watched. You were a lawyer at one point. What was that about? Was that a series or was that a movie? What was that?
It was a movie based on a real life story, something that had happened in Georgia. And the interesting part for me, sharing as actor to actor, is that I went in and auditioned just generically, just to meet the people who behind the project. Stepped
Mhm.
away, didn't think anything more of it. I actually filmed the confession, which is part 2 of the Shunning. When I wrapped on the confession, the director reached out to me and he said, "You know what? We've had some changes. We're in the middle of filming. Are you available?" And so I said yes. And they offered me a role as the DA. Originally, it was written for, and I was on set 2 days. And the magnanimity of it is like I didn't sleep at night because court scenes are so different. You have gigantic monologues that you have to memorize, and you don't have the lead in where your scene partner prompts you. And so everything had to be original thought. It took a lot. I'm really proud of it, because I know how hard I worked on it, but I'm very proud of the end result. And again, made many friends on set and actually worked with my husband, put him on the stand in the movie. So that's fun.
That's exciting. You get to work with your spouse.
Yeah.
I liked what you said. You said when they asked you if you were available, you said the word yes.
Mhm.
How important is it to say yes instead of I'll think about it? Because I say that, it sounds funny, but a lot of times young actors, they don't know the importance of networking and how important it is to be part of a team.
Well, I'm going to say 2 things because I'm an old actor. One, availability is very important. So if you choose this career path, you need to set your life up for availability. The 2 that I'm going to add to it is don't compromise something from your personal life that is so important because you'll never get it back. So truly weigh your availability. Because there isn't a redo in it. So your career, important, be available, but don't let your personal life be secondary. There is a way to have both merge beautifully.
I like that. I agree with that. I say that a lot of times to the people because you have to yeah, actors, because at the end of the day, you look in the mirror. That's what I
Right,
say. You know,
right.
what was your favorite role? You've done so
Oh,
many things, but yeah, what was your favorite role? If you can pick one.
that question just makes me laugh because they're all like babies. How do you pick a favorite? Um, they really are good experiences for different reasons. And I think that's important that whatever you do, even when you're just doing an audition, when I step away from it, I always say I did my best in the circumstances because sometimes you could have done better if you weren't on set that week before and this is due the next day that after you wrap and you've got a limited amount of time. I just recently had that happen. So I don't beat myself about that. But there's just something wonderful about every single project, different reasons. So find a takeaway, find how you learned something new, how you grew, or what failed. Where did you feel like, "Oh, that didn't go well. I don't want to be that person on set." If there was something that happened where you're like, that's a disruption in the flow, you're like, ding, ding, or I don't do that. There's just always something that you come away with and be a better actor going forward. So, but I've worked with some beautiful people, so many beautiful people, and some of them are famous. Um, And we're all the same, So when you go in, I'm going to give you one example. So Leatherhead is a movie that I did. George Clooney directed. My scenes are deleted scenes. They're in the DVD. I get paid residuals. So I'm left with the experience. And it was wonderful. It was so much fun. Worked 3 days and got to work with Renee Zellweger, George Clooney, Jonathan Pryce, John Krasinski. So to watch and learn and just be like, this is wonderful. And you have to, if it doesn't come naturally, because what was happening at the time is really funny. George Clooney was just voted like, is it People Magazine who does Sexiest Man Alive? Okay,
Yeah.
so he's the sexiest man alive. So it, like anybody in my work, I stayed quiet about it. I didn't talk about it openly, but people within my agency and family knew, and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" I'm like, "Stop! I've got to be able to stand in front of him and be normal. Don't do this. He's just a human." And he was a beautiful human, so much fun, so charismatic. So
Yeah. In other words, when you meet them in person, it's different than you see them on TV or on a magazine. That you're oh, they're like me. Is that right?
right. Well, your goal that should be that you are giving to the project. That is the only thing that matters. So all the peripheral stuff needs to be put aside and you give to the project and you are focused on what needs to be done so that it flows smoothly. I'm not an actor who likes to engage a lot of, when it's the hurry up, wait situation. I'm very friendly, but I'm very focused. And if it is a dramatic, emotional scene, I'm probably going to be off to myself because it's not going to help me to be, engaging in outside conversations and being all happy. I'm going to do what I need to do, which is be centered in why I'm there. So I really do think that that is one of the most important things to remember on set is why you are there. And it is to serve the project and to make it work well for everybody.
Your explanation is very mature and very a lot of truth in there. Did you have to? I like to use the word reinvent after the pandemic or during the pandemic. Did you find yourself having to reinvent yourself not only as a human being, we all did that,
Mhm.
but also as an actress?
I discovered, like, I'm naturally an introvert. I love people. And I like to do a lot of self-reflection. And I can tell by your questioning that you do as well, that you realize how important it is. We moved to a rural area in August of 2020. So I knew no one on top of the whole COVID situation of isolation. So I truly went through a very isolated time. And it was just me and my 2 dogs because my husband was traveling internationally the majority of the time. But I realized a lot of traits that did not serve me were trying to resurface. The shyness from my childhood, how I played that out being an introvert was resurfacing because I wasn't connecting with people as much as I had before. So that quietness, not being as willing to openly engage, that was what I realized. I'm like, we need each other. We need to, experience more than just ourselves. We're built for community. So that was my takeaway. And as every opportunity that I could find, I sought it out, whether it be Zoom situations, which was the main.
Wow, I love your answer, and it's so true. It rings so true in my life, and I'm sure with other people that are watching. Tell us about your education. What was your first time on stage or in front of a camera, and how did you react, and how did you say, "This is for me"?
My story is different. Everybody has a different story, but I knew that I wanted to be a teacher from a very young age. So that is what I pursued. I got an undergraduate degree in elementary education, went straight and got a master's degree in counseling, which is very helpful for acting. But I did that full time, was a public school teacher and had my three sons. But what happened, I didn't pursue acting. In the summers, I lived in Charleston, South Carolina, and there was a lot of print work and a lot of commercials, and I was in my 20s. And so that is how it came about for me initially. And it got to a point where I started booking a lot of commercials and a SAG commercial. I sought out education, and there were workshops in the area. There was theater in the area, and there was SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, an hour away from where I lived. I volunteered, and I'm like, put me in, coach, and learned that way. Learn by doing and reading amazing books, Uta Hagen, and just, you know, so it's a different path. It would have been lovely to have all of those tools and, spend that time where that's in college, where you're surrounded by other people who are sharing the same passion. But my story's different, and I wouldn't change it because I love being a teacher as well. And I feel like as an actor, I'm impacting lives by telling stories and bringing about conversation and hopefully making an impact that's positive.
I like that story. It's not, like you said, the whole thing about acting, the industry, entertainment industry, it is creative. And I love trees, so I like to equate an actor or actress with a willow tree. You have to bend, you have to sway. It's not always a comfortable ride. And there's work, and when the work is great, it's there. When it's not there, what do we do, Sandra?
I think you create it somehow, and it's been different based on where I lived. There was one point where I was in Greenville, South Carolina. I hope you don't mind me mentioning different cities.
No.
But when I moved there, it was like in 2006, and I just found other people that had the same inclination that I did or similar, and did two things. One, we started a community group where we met once a month at a coffee house that allowed us to use their amazing venue for free, and brought people in, and they screened their short films, and we had different speakers, blah, blah, blah. It was awesome. The other thing that I did is found a group of like 10 people, and once a week we would meet, and I led it, and I would send out sides and would have what we're focusing on for this week. And we would meet together in one of the rooms in a library and, set up camera and went through audition techniques, on set techniques. And so, wow, I mean, you just thrive that way. You're not waiting. You're working.
And I tell my students that you're giving us so much valuable input and information from your experience. All I need is a good reel, a headshot, and a resume, and I'm good. No, you're not.
Right.
Build like you stepped out of your comfort zone, it sounds like, and played the leader role and gathered people together. It has to be on purpose.
If it's not there and it's something that you really want, you're going to make it happen.
Now, you mentioned also, I have to backtrack just a little bit, you mentioned volunteerism. How important is that?
The interesting thing that's happening for me now, like in the beginning, absolutely. You need to volunteer. You need to be willing to step in with people who are trying to create, and that be your stepping stone, your means of giving to be able to move forward. What's happening now for me is I have some very dear friends that have pursued passionately just as I have, and they are in position of creating their own project. And, I'm like, yeah, I love to come and make this happen, be a part of it. So there's a return to that. Whereas in that middle ground, I was like, I guess there was so much going on in my life that I wasn't working it out personally outside of what my agent brought to me, and that's okay, because of a busyness that's going on in your life. You kind of have to do what works in the moment. Now I'm definitely, and it's not because of a lack. I'm getting a lot from my agent. I'm very happy with the situation now living here in Georgia. There's something that is amazing about personally making it happen for people, knowing that they wrote this. You're like, yeah, I would love to help bring this to life.
I like that. You have a giving heart. It's a matter of service is what it is. Oh, what is your next project? Are you working on anything else? And can you say anything about it?
Well, your last question is very important because it is crucial that you wait until the time that it's okay to talk about it. So that's an important thing for the actor to have an understanding. It's not about posting it all on Instagram, and because guess what? It's not about me. So I just wrapped on something 2 weeks ago, and I've had maybe film and TV options since then. So we'll see. So you have to be prepared for the crazy ride because oftentimes you have no idea. To answer the question of what's next, I don't know, but isn't that fun?
That's true. If someone wanted to contact you, how would they do that? Where would they go? Where would they view your work?
Well, I guess that Actors Access is fully available. That's the primary site that has resume and reels and that kind of thing. I'm on Instagram under Sandra Elise Williams, and my agent is Atlanta Models and Talent. They're one. And in saying that, I strongly encourage, like what you're doing. There's an accessibility to valuable information that was not there when I was coming along. But there's no excuse today to not plug yourself in, learn new things, grow, be professional. And what an advantage, because you're not going to stumble and make as many mistakes along the way as, I did. So,
No, I'm right up there with you. I like to call mistakes learning curves because a
yeah.
mistake is, it's a learning process is what it is. And it's being an actor, I think, is humbling because, you see the glamour, you see the Oscars, and that's fine. When you're really on a set, isn't it like it's work? It's controlling your nerves, controlling your focus, being very businesslike and focus and serving the character.
Mm-hmm. I've had several people say to me, "Oh, I could never do that. I'm too shy." Well, you're not going to outshine me. But that is a hurdle because when you realize the focus is not myself, I'm a human being. There's a camera present. I need to know where it is, and then I forget it. Does that make sense? The technical,
Oh,
I
it makes, yes.
need to know where it is, and then I've got to just be. So all of those sensitivities, we all have an original design, and how awesome it is that you get to be, and you get to take elements of what it means to be a human, and maybe some of it's not useful in this role, but you focus over here. You can always find some aspect of yourself to bring to it, and then open the door to other aspects that might not be your favorite, but they're needed for this character. But I have a lot of admiration for the crew because they work so hard. They are there before you are, and they are there after you leave. So,
That's true. And it's like a family. Sandra Williams, actress, fantastic actress from what I've seen. I thank you so much for being on Real Actors, Real Answers and taking the time out to educate us and to share your experiences.
thank you.
I have a lot to think about. the power of reflection, you know. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for including me in your day.
All right.
Happy Labor Day weekend.
Yes, happy Labor Day.